the declaration, I am a woman, I am a mother, I am Italian, I am Christian, is more than a personal statement. It is an act of defiance, a proclamation of dignity in a world that constantly tries to reshape who we are. Each word stands as a banner of truth, proudly raised against the tide of conformity and moral confusion. To say I am a woman is to embrace strength without denying softness, to celebrate resilience that comes not from imitation, but from authenticity. It rejects the notion that womanhood must fit a single mold. It says that grace, courage, and intellect can coexist, and that identity is not something to be ashamed of, but something to carry with pride. To say I am a mother is to declare the sacredness of life, the power of nurture, and the beauty of responsibility. It is to recognize that shaping the next generation is not a private duty, but a public honor. Motherhood becomes not a limitation, but a symbol of creation, sacrifice, and unyielding love, proof that strength can be gentle and gentleness can move mountains. To say I am Italian is to connect to history, to culture, to the blood and memory of ancestors who built, suffered, and dreamed. It means to carry a heritage, not as a burden, but as a crown. It is a statement of belonging, of loyalty to a land and its people, of pride in the art, the language, and the faith that shapes civilization itself. To say I am Christian is to affirm the roots of conscience, the belief that there is truth beyond power, that freedom is meaningless without morality, and that human dignity comes from something greater than ourselves. This declaration is a reminder that identity is strength. It tells the world, you may challenge me, but you will not define me. For when a person knows who they are, no storm, no criticism, and no ideology can ever make them bow. The defense of traditional values is not an attempt to cling to the past. It is an effort to protect the very essence of human society. Family, faith, and community are not outdated ideas. They are the roots from which civilization draws its strength. Without them, progress becomes hollow and freedom loses direction. The family stands at the center of this belief. It is where love is first learned, where respect is taught, where the idea of responsibility takes shape. It is within the family that a child first understands what loyalty, sacrifice, and belonging truly mean. When the family weakens, the nation itself begins to fracture. Protecting it, therefore, is not merely a cultural choice, but a moral duty. The defense of the foundation upon which every society is built. Faith, too, serves as the conscience of a people. It reminds humanity that power must answer to something higher than ambition, that compassion, justice, and forgiveness are not signs of weakness, but of wisdom. A society that forgets faith forgets humility. It loses the sense that there are eternal truths worth preserving, values that cannot be rewritten by trends or politics. Tradition, finally, gives life its continuity. It connects generations, linking the dreams of the past to the hopes of the future. To defend tradition is not to reject modernity, but to ensure that progress does not erase meaning. For progress without roots is chaos, movement without direction, freedom without purpose. The defense of these values is a declaration that not everything sacred must be surrendered to the new. It is the conviction that some things, family, faith, honor, and duty, are timeless. They are not relics to be buried, but lights to be carried forward, guiding a people who know where they came from and therefore know where they must go. In an age where the world pushes for sameness, the act of standing firm in one's identity becomes an act of rebellion. Global conformity promises unity, but in truth, it often demands the erasure of everything that makes people unique: their faith, their traditions, their sense of belonging. To resist this pressure is to defend the beauty of difference. It is to say that nations are not machines built to function the same way, but living souls, each with its own rhythm, voice, and destiny. Diversity in its truest form means allowing each culture to remain itself, proud of its language, its customs, and its vision of life. When the world insists that everyone must think alike, dress alike, or believe alike, it does not create peace, it creates emptiness. Resistance to conformity is not about rejecting the world. It is about preserving freedom within it. True freedom is not the absence of borders, but the ability to stand for what you believe without apology. It is the right of a people to protect their history, to cherish their traditions, and to live according to their values, even when global voices call them outdated. This resistance also demands courage. The courage to say no when others expect silence, the courage to be misunderstood, and the courage to remain grounded in truth when the world celebrates confusion. For in a time when everything is being redefined, holding on to one's identity becomes an act of strength, not stubbornness. To resist conformity is to protect authenticity. It is to remind humanity that progress should not mean forgetting who we are. A world that erases its differences does not grow closer. It simply becomes weaker, colorless, and lost. True harmony is not built by destroying identity, but by allowing every voice to sing its own note. Proud, free, and unafraid. True empowerment does not come from denying what it means to be a woman. It comes from embracing it fully. Strength is not the rejection of femininity, but the realization that within it lies a power deeper and more enduring than force. To say, "I am a woman," is to claim a legacy of resilience that has endured through centuries. It is to honor the quiet courage of those who built families, carried nations through war, and held hope when the world seemed to fall apart. A woman's strength is not measured by how loudly she speaks, but by how steadfastly she stands, in duty, in love, in conviction. Motherhood, too, becomes a symbol of creation and courage. It is not a limitation, but a calling, the act of shaping life, nurturing minds, and forming the moral compass of the next generation. There is no weakness in care, no shame in compassion. To raise a child is to take part in building the future, one heart at a time. That is power in its purest form. Empowerment means freedom, the freedom to lead without losing grace, to succeed without surrendering tenderness, to command respect without sacrificing identity. It means standing equal not by imitation of men, but by revealing the full strength of womanhood itself, decisive, wise, protective, and unbreakable. In a world that often confuses equality with sameness, the empowered woman stands as a reminder that true equality honors difference. She does not need to become anyone else to be powerful. Her power already exists in her voice, her endurance, and her unwavering belief in who she is. It is not merely a belief. It is the heartbeat of identity, the silent force that gives life direction and meaning. It teaches that human dignity does not come from wealth, status, or power, but from something far greater, the recognition that we are guided by a truth beyond ourselves. When faith lives at the center of the human spirit, it anchors the soul amid chaos. It becomes the compass that points toward what is right when the world celebrates what is easy. It reminds us that freedom without morality is emptiness, and progress without purpose is destruction. Faith does not imprison the mind. It frees it from the tyranny of meaninglessness. To hold faith is to believe that there is light, even when the night seems endless. It teaches humility, the understanding that no individual or nation stands above good and evil, that justice must be tempered by mercy, and that power without conscience corrupts. Through faith, people learn that their lives are part of a larger story, one that began long before them and will continue after them. Faith also binds generations together. It carries the wisdom of ancestors, the prayers of those who endured before us, and the hope of those yet to come. It shapes art, inspires courage, and gives birth to compassion. It reminds society that love is not weakness, that sacrifice is not loss, and that forgiveness is not surrender. At its core, faith is what transforms identity into destiny. It gives people the strength to stand firm in their beliefs, to resist moral emptiness, and to choose good even when evil seems powerful. A person, a family, or a nation that loses faith loses its soul. But one that holds on to it, even quietly, even imperfectly, can withstand any storm, because it remembers who it is and why it must endure. The strength of a nation does not lie only in its armies or its economy, but in the invisible bond that ties its people together, the shared spirit of belonging, sacrifice, and purpose. When individuals recognize that their personal identity is part of a greater whole, the nation becomes more than a place. It becomes a living heart that beats through every citizen. Unity is not sameness. It is the harmony of many voices singing one song, different in tone, yet joined in devotion to a common destiny. It is the recognition that the success of one is tied to the well-being of all. A people divided by envy or hatred cannot stand, but a people united by love of country and respect for one another can endure any storm. This unity is born from memory, from shared history, from the blood and dreams of those who came before. It lives in the language we speak, the traditions we honor, and the hope we pass to our children. It is built each day through the small acts of those who work, serve, and believe that their efforts matter to something larger than themselves. To be united as a nation is to understand that freedom is not given. It is preserved generation after generation by those who refuse to let their homeland lose its soul. A united people can rise above hardship because they know who they are And they know that their strength comes not from wealth or power, but from loyalty, courage, and faith. And writing in 9/340, titled Final Speech on Identity and Unity. Variant, standard, we live in a time that tries to make us forget who we are, to trade conviction for comfort, roots for applause, truth for acceptance. But we must remember that our identity is our armor. It is what makes us free. To say, I am a woman, I am a mother, I am Italian, I am Christian is not a slogan. It is a vow. A vow to stand firm when the world bends, to protect what is sacred when others look away, and to pass on to those who come after us the pride of knowing where they belong. Let the world change around us, but let our hearts remain unshaken. For when a people know their roots, no force can uproot them. When they stand together, no storm can break them. And when they walk with faith, no darkness can silence their light. We are not just individuals. We are the living voice of a nation, the guardians of a legacy, and the builders of a future that remembers its soul.